You are all by invite, very likely property owners or residents that might be adjacent to a planned roadway improvement project by the city of North St. Paul that is going to be getting started here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We use these meetings to be able to share information with interested residents and to also answer questions. There will be a brief presentation, and we'll do some introductions. First of all, for those of us that are on the panel, all representing the city, we'll do a brief presentation. We'll ask that you hold your questions until the end. We do run through several frequently asked questions and general information. So it's very possible that the question that you might have pertaining to your property or just wondering about the project could possibly be answered through the course of the presentation. It's not that long, but certainly there should be plenty of time for questions that are very specific, and feel free to ask about things that might be extremely specific to you, your situation, your driveway. If you have a party planned or things that you want to make sure that the city is aware of with respect to coordination for things that you have going on at your home or your property, so that we can try to work with you and work around you and coordinate with the contractor their activities. That's what we're here for, and to answer those questions and to try to create those opportunities between the city and the people that live within the city. We're trying to do this in the most efficient way possible, the quickest way possible, and construction is always inconvenient, but we're trying to minimize that inconvenience as much as possible so that we can wrap things up, and hopefully everybody has an improved roadway in front of their property and for driving through as they go to places or go to their places of work on a regular basis. And hopefully we can get to that fairly quickly before the end of the season here. We do have a contractor on board, and they've been awarded a contract. We've been waiting for the gas company to finish some things in and around a couple areas, and I think they're mostly wrapped up. So we are ready and excited for this to start from the city standpoint. And we will also, if any of you have neighbors that or friends that couldn't make this time, we are recording this video, and this will be posted on the city's website. So again, just for general information, this will always be available as a resource for people who want to check in, or if they miss this meeting, they can go to the city's website and watch the video and get this general information. We'll also have some general contact information in case there are questions after the fact, or if you need kind of personal attention or interaction from the project staff as we get closer to construction, or even in the construction process, which again, I said is slated to start in about 3 weeks time. Obviously, we've had a little bit of weather to contend with this particular year, and so construction schedules are always subject to change. But right now, that's kind of our best understanding of when the contractor plans to start. So by way of introduction, I am Morgan Dawley. I'm North St. Paul's city engineer. I've been the city engineer for North St. Paul since 2009. I am not a specific participant or manager of the project, although I do have oversight for all capital improvement projects within the city of North St. Paul. With me here tonight, we have some city public works staff, and we also have some consultant staff that is in charge of managing the project, and I'll let them introduce themselves, starting with Kyle Hoff. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Kyle? We'll go to Noel, and then Ron, and then Randy from Public Works. Go ahead, Kyle.
Sure. So I'm Kyle Huff. I'm the project manager on the project with WSB. And so we'll get to this later, but I'll be one of the main contacts that you could end up contacting later, but we'll show that later. So Noel?
Hi everyone, my name is Noelle Mills-Ford. I'm with WSB. I'm just running tech in the background. If you have any issues throughout the webinar, feel free to drop a question in the Q&A, and only I'll see it until I make it public, and I can help you out. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Ron Ritchie. I'm the North St. Paul Public Works Director. Like I said, with questions, concerns as this project goes on, I can be a contact with this too. And then, go ahead, Randy.
I'm Randy with City of North St. Paul Public Works Supervisor. Like Ron said, I can be a point of contact too for any issues that come up. Ava?
Hello, my name is Ava. I'm the communications coordinator for the City of North St. Paul. I run the social media, the newsletter, and the website. So if anything happens, I'm going to be the one pushing out the information to you.
All right, thank you everybody on the panel, and thank you to all of our guests from the public. We really appreciate your participation. Without you guys, we are certain that we would not have a successful project as we would with your participation, with your questions, with your help. And so this is always better as an interactive process, not just now at an open house, but even through the construction process. So thank you so much for taking time out of your evenings. I'll turn it back to you, Kyle, if you want to start the presentation and run through the slides. I think that would be great. And like I said, we'll have plenty of time for individual Q&A after the presentation.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Morgan. So I think just to get started with an introduction here for our just general running this, if once we get to the Q&A section, you can either do the raise hand function, and which will allow you to essentially to allow Noel to unmute you and allow you to state your question. Or if you just want to use the Q&A and type it out, Noel can relay that to us. So that's just something for later. Yeah. Okay, I think I skipped a slide here, sorry. So regarding staying informed about the project, and again, this slide deck will be shared on the city's website, so you don't need to record all this now, but I'll let it linger for a bit if you want to write at least the phone number down. So you can either email to subscribe to project updates, which Ava will be running and sending out occasionally. Otherwise, you can call the city's main phone number, or 651-747-2400, and that'll be this project's hotline essentially for any concerns that comes up. Also with this, and I can stay here for a bit, at our consultant and inspector for the project is going to be Mark Lynch. And anyone who's been in the city a while may have know him, as he's been the inspector for North St. Paul for a long time. And he'll be the main contact if you don't first go to the city. Otherwise, I can be a secondary contact for things that Mark may not be able to answer, and he'll relay things to me as needed. And then otherwise, Morgan could step in as well. So tonight's agenda, just the first 20 minutes or so, we're just going to go over the presentation. Then we'll go over the frequently asked questions, just to hopefully answer questions that you may already have. And then after that, I'll answer any remaining questions that people may have, and show a brief video at the end, just to kind of explain how these projects go. So the project in general is going to be on several streets throughout the city, in different areas. One is going to be on Margaret Street North from Holloway Avenue to South Avenue. Then just a couple blocks over on First Street North from Holloway Avenue to Second Avenue. Then Eldridge Avenue from Eldridge Court to 7th Avenue East. And then 6th Street North, just a bit north of that, South Avenue East to Castle Avenue. And then Charles Street from 13th Avenue to 17th Avenue. So those individual projects. Margaret Street will be a 2-inch mill and overlay with some spot curb and gutter replacements, essentially just anything that's that's settled and holding water, or not draining properly or heavily damaged. Then once the paving is done, and there will be striping of the driving and parking lanes. And there will also be some minor sidewalk repairs just at the pedestrian ramps and bringing those up to modern ADA standards. And the project in general is not going to have much for utility work. All right, but we will be adjusting and some storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and water main and structure castings and doing a few minor repairs throughout for the structures. First Street, it's essentially the same thing as Margaret. The only additional item is a few castings or storm castings will be replaced to improve drainage, as they're just a bit small and don't collect stormwater as much as fast as is needed. Eldridge Avenue, it's going to be a little different. It'll actually be a full depth mill and overlay because the pavement condition there is just a bit worse than on First Street and on Margaret. So, and then again, there will be some sidewalk repairs, but I think on this one, there's only a bit on 7th Avenue. Some structure adjustment once again and repairing or replacing some collapsing structure sections for utilities. 6th Street, again, a full depth mill and overlay with some spot curb and gutter work. Some sidewalk repairs, and then adjustments to all the storm sanitary and water main structures. And then finally, Charles Street will be the same as the last two, but because there are existing and striping on that, we'll restripe it with to delineate the driving and parking lanes, same as it is as now. Okay. So generally the project will be phased so that once an individual street, once work has started on an individual street, that it will continue. So the contractor isn't going to be, say, ripping up Margaret Street all and then switching over to Charles Street and then leaving and Margaret open that entire time. They'll be sequential so that the work on any individual street is short. That being said, depending on the contractor schedule, they may have one or two streets is under work at the same time. And in general, I'll keep you informed of the general project schedule for each street as it proceeds. Right now, the estimated construction is to start in early August. With all the rain, that could end up getting pushed a little bit. Then the substantial completion, which is essentially just most of the work will be done at that point. It is set to be done in September. And then the final paving, and final restoration, and will be done at the end of September. Okay, now onto our frequently asked questions, and there are quite a few here, so this will take a bit. Again, what work is proposed? So the city of North St. Paul is working to provide residents with safer, smoother, and structurally sound streets. Along with that, there will also be utility, structure adjustments and repairs. No pipe work on this project. And the city acknowledges that construction is as an inconvenience, but it's just something necessary to maintain our infrastructure over time. And part of the purpose of this meeting is so that we can hopefully communicate the project details to you and hear from you, any concerns on to make this as smooth as possible. Then how much notice will be given regarding the schedule of anticipated construction activity? Hey, Ava, will be leading that, but we're gonna be trying to do at least weekly email, website, and social media updates. It's for each street, and to keep you informed. And then also with that, as we showed before, you can sign up for or a text update or an email update, and so that you get those automatically. Will I always have access to my driveway? Since this is not a full recon, you will have access to your driveway most of the time. And the exception to that is if we have to replace some curb and gutter in front of your driveway, then the contractor is going to need to remove that and remove the concrete apron and then pour both of those and allow. And then you will need to allow 5 days before you can, after pouring, before you can actually drive on that again. Again, that'll be notified to individual property owners as on a case-by-case basis, and you will be given and plenty of notice to so that you can move your vehicles onto a side street so that you're not trapped in your home or anything. And then otherwise there may be short periods during the day where the contractor will just need to close the driveway temporarily and allow you to get out later on. Again, you'll be notified of that as soon as they're able to. Then again, question, can entire driveways be replaced as part of the project? So the scope of this project is only going to be mainly the street and just a little bit of curb work. So we will replace as the materials that are there if necessary, but we're not going to replace much with this project, if at all. So most of the driveways ideally will not be touched at all. If the curb has to be removed in front of your driveway, it will replace an asphalt, pavement with asphalt pavement, concrete with concrete, etc. If you wanted to replace your full driveway, that would be on you, and you could seek to work that out with the contractor individually, but that is not a city cost. And the city, if you're interested in that, the city can provide direct contact to the contractor so that you can work with them directly. How much of our driveway is going to be replaced? Existing driveways will only be partially removed if curb or sidewalk has to be removed impacting that. So again, most driveways will not be touched ideally, but that will be measured in the field, them taken, and you'll be notified as soon as you can. In general though, if we're replacing the curb, we'll replace about 5 feet behind, and and put it back as is, as like I said before. And where's the edge of right of way, which is essentially the city's property of the street, that is 60 feet or less on all the streets. The inspector will provide a residence a right of entry form if work needs to be completed on private property, such as driveway replacements that's beyond the right of way. We don't anticipate that being necessary, but that is always a possibility. Where will I be able to pick up my mail, and how garbage service be affected. Mailboxes shouldn't be removed for this, and I believe there's not much for mailboxes along the edge of sidewalk or curb anyways, but they shouldn't be removed. But if for some reason the contractor determined that was necessary, they would work with the post office to find a temporary mailbox location for you and notify you of that location. Trash pickup will all occur on the same day as it does now. The only difference is that the contractor will work with the company that provides you that service and if you put your recycling or trash bins where you normally would, the contractor will move that for you if the trash company can't pick it up where they normally do. What are the city is work hours? The city of North St. Paul for all projects has working hours of Monday through Friday between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And then Saturday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. with no work allowed on Sundays or holidays. Again, to reiterate, before our residents will have access to their, well, we covered that earlier, so.
Hey, Kyle, just so that the folks understand, in terms of our preliminary conversations with the contractor, they are not planning on working Saturdays. That allowance
That's right.
between 9 and 5 is there per city standards. But they are planning on unless something happens from a schedule standpoint, or I guess weather could impact that, they're really planning on doing all of their work on Monday through Friday. And if we do get a notification that there might be work on Saturday, we'll try to make that a special notification for the folks in that area if we do hear about it, and we should hear about it with enough advance time. But just so people know, we should be able to get through this project without any Saturday work.
All right, I had forgotten about that, so thank you, Morgan. All right, on to our next question. Will areas of my lawn be disturbed be replaced? So similar to the driveways, most lawns should not be touched with this. There will be some minor removals if we have to remove the curb or remove the sidewalk adjacent to your lawn. That will be replaced with topsoil and sod. The contractor is responsible for watering that for 30 days after installation. And then beyond that 30 days, that's the homeowner's responsibility to water as needed and take care of it. All residents, once we're a little closer to that time, will receive a letter from the city with instructions on this and a little more detail on the sod. So how are landscaping features and lawn irrigation systems dealt with during construction? So the contractor will work to protect those sorts of systems to the extent that is possible. Things like retaining walls, and for this project in general, most likely there shouldn't be any impacts thanks to things like retaining walls, landscaping, and irrigation systems. For any underground items like invisible pet fences and irrigation lines within the city right of way, though, homeowners are responsible to mark those, so that the contractor knows where they are and can avoid them wherever possible. So that's part of what this meeting is for, so that you are aware of that, and please notify us if you have anything within the boulevard area or adjacent to the sidewalk area.
Right, and just to kind of additionally clarify, really mostly it's like Kyle said, if it's right next to the sidewalk or right behind the curb, that's usually we don't need your irrigation lines marked, everywhere. It would only be kind of at that closest locations. And really there's not much need to do more than, if you mark your irrigation heads or a couple irrigation heads, just so the contractor knows that there's something there, they can do a much better job of trying to protect those. And if there is an issue or if there is a break or something like that, the contractor is going to be responsible for fixing that. And the project staff will work with the homeowner in those instances. It does happen occasionally. But if we do know about them, if there's a flag or a stake or something that you can stick in the ground to mark a couple irrigation heads or to let us know otherwise that there's a invisible pet fence or something like that that goes under the driveway or is in relatively close proximity to the street. Again, very easier anyway to protect them. But again, the contractor is responsible for repairs, and we'll work with the contractor and you all, if it does happen, to get that repaired as quick as possible. We understand the inconvenience of not being able to water your lawn, for example, if there's a zone offline for an irrigation system, or certainly you want to make sure that your pet can be taken care of as per normal. But usually those are pretty easy fixes. So we like to see that turned around and repaired as quickly as possible. So the sooner we know about it ahead of time, the better it can be protected. And certainly if you notice that there's a problem or a break or something, please bring it to the project staff's attention as soon as possible, via the hotline, or call somebody on the project team with the contact information that we shared. And we'll work to try to take care of that with you as fast as possible.
Yep. Thank you, Morgan. All right. Additionally, if there's, and again, we don't anticipate this should be much of an issue, but if you have any landscaping or plantings that you want saved, particularly if it's in the boulevard area, then please remove those from the right of way as soon as possible. Again, I'll provide you more detail on when and work will start. All right, and city staff will mark where our curb removals will be happening. So, you should be able to know if our landscaping will be impacted by that. And then if you believe an item has been damaged or may need to be replaced, please just contact the hotline for further assistance.
Yeah, also just like the dog fences and the irrigation, it's really only landscaping that might be right up against the curb that would kind of fall into that category. This type of project, if they do need to remove curb, they're only really disturbing that area, maybe 1 foot, maybe 2 feet
1 or
behind
2
the
feet.
curb, at the most. And so if your landscaping, like most landscaping, is back 5, 10, 15 feet away from the curb line, really nothing to worry about in terms of moving it ahead of time. And if you have questions, just reach out and ask.
Yep, absolutely. How are special deliveries, wedding, graduation parties, etc. going to be handled? If you have a special delivery or event happening and during the construction and schedule, please notify the hotline of the time and date as soon as possible. The contractor and project staff can work around that to the best of their ability and provide parking if possible. Where will construction vehicles and materials be stored overnight and over the weekend? Construction materials such as storm castings, things will be stored entirely within the city right of way, will not be on private property. But that could mean that they end up being stored within the boulevard area, which is public right of way. And then construction vehicles will not be, will not be blocking access to our driveways either. Or if you notice an issue, please just call the hotline. And then, are you changing the grade of the road? The proposed improvements that we're doing and will essentially just match the grade that is out there. This will not change much in terms of this street. All right, I think that was our last one. So now we're in our Q&A session. So if you want to either raise your hand or type a question into the Q&A function, and please do so, and Noel I'll assist here.
All right, Robert Hawkinson has his hand up. Robert, I'm gonna allow you to talk. Same as last time, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
I'm a slow type, I got too much to say. I've had an issue with my sanitary sewer for many years now. There was a time, many years ago, XL Energy came around and ran cameras through everybody's sanitary sewer to see if they had pushed a gas line through it, because apparently they had done it one time, and when somebody had the drain cleaned, it blew up. So they ran the camera down, and there's something going through my sanitary sewer line, but they said it wasn't their pipe. I asked them to give me a copy of the picture, and they wouldn't do it. They said it was their picture. Scott Dudek was on staff there, and they wouldn't even give him a picture. So the city did send out a crew and ran a camera down my sewer line, and it looks like a piece of like white PVC pipe going through my sanitary sewer line. I haven't had any problems with the sewer so far, and it's been many years, and maybe I never will. But I was thinking, before the street is done, if it needs to be dug up and repaired, that should be done so we don't have to, it's out at the street, in the street right away. I have called the city and left a couple messages, but I have not had any calls returned in regards to that. But just a thought, if they want to come out and send another camera down and take a picture of it, that's fine with me. So I think it's something we ought to think about before the street's done, so it doesn't have to be dug up again.
Robert, what's your address?
2543 Charles Street.
Okay. So that is something that, you're right. You bring up a good point. If there is an issue underneath the roadway, it would certainly be preferable to the city that be taken care of. Sewer and water services from the main out to the house in North St. Paul are the responsibility of the homeowner, not the city. I mean, I think the city has assisted you in the past, certainly with the cameras, and potentially even locating where that issue is, if it's under the street or if it's in the grassy area behind the curb.
Well, it's out beyond the curb.
Out beyond the curb, meaning into the street, like under the pavement, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They had marked it on the street, but that was many years ago. The markings are gone, but it was out beyond the curb line.
Okay. So I think we're gonna need to know how to get a hold of you, and I think we'll need to do some coordination with you outside of this meeting. And I can't promise you anything, but I do appreciate the fact that you brought it up, because you're right. We certainly don't want there to be a sewer problem under the road after, the public investment of dollars, which is significant on these types of roadway projects. So we can certainly take a look at it with you and see what we can see. And I can't speak for Ron or Randy. I'm guessing that we don't have a copy of that televising from before, right? Ron, can you speak to this at all?
Yep. Hey, Charles, this is Ron Ritchie with the Public Works Department. And yeah, I did receive your email on that, or a note on that. I think what we'll do is we're going to call in locates for that location so we can find out what utility actually it is or went through it. So maybe we can track someone down from there. Maybe they bored something through it years ago when they did some work in the area. But I think that'll be the best approach, to first find out actually what it is or whose it is, and then we can go from there.
The street was completely rebuilt with all new utilities and everything in 1999, And in 2009 is when that overlay that's coming off was put on. I don't recall in all those years since the road was done that anybody pushed any pipe or anything through, under the street on on my side of Charles Street. Now, just last week, they did some work on the other side of the street, so.
Okay, well, like I said, we'll get in touch with you. And like I said, I think the best approach will start off by calling in some locates, but we can handle this after the meeting. I got a note here. And we'll get in touch and see what we can find out.
Okay.
Yeah, you got his email, you got the contact info, Ron, and you got the address, correct?
I do.
And then Kyle, if you made a note of that address, I'd like you to notify the contractor that we may have a potential utility issue there that schedule-wise we need to work around on Charles Street.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Are we ready for our next question?
Yeah, are you going in order? You go ahead and read it. I think I can take this next one.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we have two questions about charges slash assessments to homeowners. Will residents be charged for any work done?
Yes, so I can take that question. So there will be no assessments, no special assessments for this project. There will be no special or unique charges for this project. These projects are funded through city street maintenance dollars, which come from the property tax levy. In the past, the city has had assessments, but in recent years, the city currently is not levying special assessments for these types of projects. And so that's always good news for me to convey to the residents and property owners on these projects that there will not be any special assessments or special charges related to these improvements to the roadways that you live and drive on.
All right. And then we've got, will Margaret Street be asphalt?
Yes, we'll be replacing all the streets heads which are asphalt now with asphalt again.
Great. And then lastly,
I just want to just comment on there. There's a certain parts of Margaret Street. There's a part of Margaret Street from South Avenue or County Road B to I guess up or to the bridge that
Right.
is concrete, and we're not doing any work in that area. So if you're in that stretch, that we're not working in that area on this project. It'll just be from that County Road B to Holloway.
Kyle, can you pull the map up again so maybe folks can see the map
Sure.
again that you showed earlier, just while we continue to answer questions? You can go ahead and ask the next one, Noel.
And I can answer that one.
okay, so someone said they moved into their home in April and contracted with Q Fiber for internet service. They installed a temporary line on top of this person's lawn. Can we coordinate with Q Fiber, we as in the project team, coordinate with Q Fiber so that they can finish installing this person's internet connection properly while everything is in flux?
I believe this is at 2170 Eldridge, the student built house, and he spoke with me and I was gonna try to see what I can do with that along with his driveway replacement. So we'll be working on it.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to comment. I have the same issue, but it's kind of a homeowner thing at the end of the day. But since we're there, and you, Randy, if you've talked to him,
I'm just assuming that's who that is,
yeah,
but there's no guarantees because dealing with those guys is next to impossible.
yeah.
I mean, I would say the good news, at least in terms of coordinating the work that the city's contractor is going to be doing, if it's something that's above ground for now and that's visible, certainly easy for the contractor to see that, and hopefully it's nowhere near any of the work, and likely it's nowhere near any of the work that the contractor is going to be doing, whether it's curb replacement or milling and paving on the roadway. So that's a positive at least. But yeah, good to know that Ron and Randy from Public Works at least are aware and are looking into that. Does that answer the question? I don't know if you want to give a thumbs up in the Q&A or.
I've given you permission to unmute. There's no name, but you should see now. Oh, looks like you unmuted yourself.
I've talked with Randy before on this issue, and I just wanted to officially bring it up at this meeting is all.
Okay. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions? Maybe give it a minute and then we can move on to the end, I guess.
Yeah, is the last part the video, Kyle?
Yes. So,
Okay. Yeah, so maybe just an introduction to the video. And first of all, before we go to the video, I mean, a lot of people kind of log off while we're showing the video. It's kind of some light entertainment, and it's a video that was put together by a local cable channel. Actually, not North St. Paul, it's another community, but it's really kind of nice information that and entertaining at the same time. Some of the things that you'll see in the video are not specific to this particular project because they cover things like water main replacement and other utility improvements that are more invasive and not necessarily a part of this project. We're primarily just interested in removing and replacing or milling the top layer of asphalt off and then repaving on top of that. But there's some good information there in terms of how these projects work and what it's like living on a project. And it's always kind of entertaining. So if you're ready to go to the video, Kyle, I just want to say thank you to everybody who took the time out of their busy evenings to dial into this. And please, please, please utilize the communication information, the numbers, the hotline, the things that the city is sending out. Sign up for email updates, and hopefully we'll be able to be closely engaged with all of you as we get through this. We've got a really good track record in working with really good contractors on past projects in North St. Paul. And so my expectations is that everybody on the city side is going to be working to the best of their ability to make things as best as they possibly can be for you all on these projects. Again, construction is always inconvenient. It's noisy, it could be dusty or whatever, but we try to do as best we can to try to get through these things as quickly as we can to minimize the inconvenience to you all. And if there is an issue, really the best way for us to try to get at it quickly is to use this email or this phone number. I know there's lots of different people at the city that you can call. You might have friends at Public Works or other people, but the folks that we've tried to tell you about specific at this meeting that are responsible for this project, myself included, Kyle, our inspector, Mark, who was not able to be here tonight. Those are going to be the best people and the fastest people that you can get a hold of. And really this one-stop shop email or phone is going to be the best way. Now, the way that the phone hotline works is it's a monitor voicemail line. So you just leave a message. We get notified on it right away, and we'll try to distribute that concern or issue, or even if you're just kind of giving us a heads up on something, we'll get that to the right people that need it. And you should get hopefully in significantly less than 24 hours, but the target is that we've responded to every single person and every single thing that comes into the hotline within a 24-hour time frame. So thank you again for your time. And Kyle, if you can let that video rip, I think we're all looking forward to some good entertainment here. So please do that.
I'll just
We
give
do have one more question.
Yep.
Oh, we did. Okay, yeah, let's answer the question quick. Sorry.
Okay, Thomas, I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself.
Thank you for taking my question. I'm not sure if my question is appropriate for this meeting or not, but it has to do with Q3 and the gas line project that's still going on in front of my house.
We definitely can coordinate with those folks. We're in contact. They are a separate private entity, but please go ahead. If they were doing work associated with this project, knowing that it's easier for them to get in, do their improvements and get out of the way before we start. So there is some synergy there. So please go ahead.
So the overlap of the boulevard easements where they run their tractors with, there's literally 6-inch tread marks. I can't even mow the yard without my mower hitting. And a good portion of my yard is just tore up from the tractors and stuff. Now I'm wondering if they're holding off with your project to do the easement and the sod and seed, or are they gonna do it before so that, you know, I can mow the yard? And then there's concrete issue with the apron that their tractors had cracked, and I'm not sure. I've had 3 calls into Excel and nobody seems to call me back. I have called the city and they said to keep trying, so.
What's your address?
I'm on the corner of South and First Avenue, 2432 South Avenue East.
2432 South Ave. You got that, Kyle? So
Yep.
what we can do is, well, I'll go first. What we can do is we can and we even went through this at our pre-construction conference with the contractors. We can let the people at Excel that are that know about this, that are very specific to these projects. You know, Excel is a very huge company and they've got lots of crews going on all over the place, but we know the person that is kind of in charge of that project, and that includes restoration issues. So this comes up occasionally. When I say restoration, I mean things like fixing rutting, or, you know, if there is a need to kind of restore some grass or turf. That's a part of what they technically are responsible for and that we want to let them know about. Right now, to answer your first question, is there a little bit of overlap there between our project and their project? Yes, absolutely. We have told them that if there's something that, if it's easier, faster, you know, makes more sense, that we can kind of take care of some of the restoration that technically they're responsible for, we can do that. It's on a case-by-case basis. We can't generally do things that are up against the house, and sometimes they're replacing gas services or gas meters that are all the way up in the yards, and that's a bit out of our purview. But things that are closer to the road, like you said, in the boulevard, that may be something that we can take care of. And you're right, it's a timing issue. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense to restore that while there's other work going on. It's much more efficient if we do all of it at the same time. However, what we can do is let the gas company know about it right off the bat. I think that we would want them to take a look at it, and especially if there's some things that are making it difficult for you to maintain your lawn. My advice to you right now is don't mow that area, and don't worry about getting ticketed for long grass or anything. I mean, a lot of times you can create more damage to your lawn by mowing through areas where your mower deck might get uneven and you could kind of scalp your lawn. So we certainly don't want you to do that. I would say just stay away from that area if you're having problems. Let us figure out and coordinate with the gas company in terms of how best we can get that area restored. It could be the city, or we might need Excel to do some things, or it might be both of us. But we can all work together to try to get it back as close to the original conditions as we can, certainly. So I appreciate you bringing it up for sure.
Well, one of my big concerns is, I was not notified, and I came home from work one day and they had saw cut a hole on my property further than easement, a hole in my concrete driveway that's not even 2.5 years old.
Oh,
And they cracked the apron on the apron for the city. They've cracked because they've been going over with the big tractors and stuff. And you know, that's just like 2.5, 3 years old from the previous project they did.
okay. So it's not just about rutting in the lawn. We got
Well, that's part of it. I mean, I'm right on the corner, so it's both sides. They like 100 feet each way on the easement. They got 6-inch ruts and and then my yard is a good portion of it where they had to drive a tractor up on my personal property to dig this. They've got like 4 or 5 massive holes they dug in my yard, but regardless, it's like a war zone in the corner here.
Yeah, it sounds like you got the worst of it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Kyle, make a note that, it's not just restoration, we got driveway damage.
Oh, yeah.
And, the apron, I think, we'd have to, technically the city shouldn't be paying for that, right? So there's some behind the scenes things that need to be worked out, but,
I
whether
think
they
it's
do it or
self-
whether we do it, I think there's an opportunity to affect some sort of, a repair if we can kind of track this down and make sure that's the appropriate thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just pointing out those, there is a portion of the sidewalk on South, when I was first, I believe, that's really low that people have fallen in the wintertime when it ices up. Because water pools in this corner, so I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but there's a good 10-foot section that's like dipped in big time where the water pools and freezes
On First or on South?
on First.
Okay. Yeah, those are the kind of parts and pieces from a spot replacement standpoint that we're going to be looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you bringing that up. Kyle's making a note.
And the only
Morgan, I have
reason
seen them, like Excel Restoration has just been out starting to re-pour concrete and stuff back into on some of the spots, so
Okay.
maybe they haven't been over to First yet, and maybe that stuff will get re-poured back in.
Could be, yeah. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Thank you, Randy. I didn't know they were out doing that. So we'll make the Excel project managers aware that we've noted this in terms of getting feedback from the public. We'll keep an eye on it, and please let us know if it looks like Excel kind of passes you over from a concrete standpoint, because as you said, there may be an opportunity for the city to be a part of the conversation as well.
Well, I have the contact info. Bill, I don't have his last name in front of me, but I've called 3 times and nobody's gotten back to me, so it's.
Yeah, I think we might have Bill's boss on speed dial, so don't worry about it.
I'm just saying, I've tried to contact Excel and I'm getting nowhere.
Yep, I can appreciate that. That happened. That's why we do our early coordination meetings, and Kyle and Ron and Randy will remember that I specifically asked those guys if we have concerns from a restoration standpoint, who do we call? And they said, call me. And so
Okay,
we'll go straight to the top.
cool. Appreciate it.
All right. So now it looks like there's no more questions, so we'll proceed. And hopefully this video plays correctly.
You're watching LMCC. What a beautiful day in Anytown, USA. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and the people are peopling, huh? Well, it looks like Anytown's inquisitive neighbor, Chuck Busybody, is working on a home improvement project. Let's say hello. Hey, Chuck, what are you up to? Yes, it looks like your street is scheduled for reconstruction this summer. Chuck, what are you doing? You should really live in the city. Wait, is that a jackhammer? I don't think that was the best idea, Busybody. You should really leave the construction work to the professionals. Calm down, Chuck. Yes, the street reconstruction process can be confusing, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions. You may wonder, how long will this take? What will I see? What will I hear? Why are there tiny flakes in my lawn? What happened to my mailbox? And how do I get my hands on a cool hard hat and safety vest? Well, never fear, Busybody. I have the answers you're looking for. Let me tell you a story. Street reconstruction is an inconvenient yet necessary process that begins many years before any work is done. Your city will determine which streets and utilities will be replaced 5 years in advance. Early in the process, neighborhood residents and businesses are invited to a meeting to learn about the project and are encouraged to provide feedback to the city. Once the project is approved by the city council, survey crews will be on site during the fall, the year before street reconstruction begins. There they will gather data to create construction plans to help guide the project through to completion. The following spring, the city council will select a contractor and then create a preliminary construction schedule that will be shared with property owners. Are you following along so far, Chuck? Perhaps you should take some notes. That's better. During pre-construction, survey crews and private utility companies stake and flag the project area. This is done so that crews know where things are located during construction. Temporary mailboxes may need to be installed just outside of the work area during a total street reconstruction. The post office will decide the date and location of the move. The project contractor will notify impacted homeowners when this is scheduled to be done. Additional prep work involves utility companies using excavation equipment to make repairs and improvements to existing utilities such as cable, electric, and natural gas. Saw cutting of driveways will take place during the pre-construction period as well. In addition, diseased trees or trees in the right-of-way will need to be removed prior to the start of the project. What was that, busybody? I don't think the crew needs your help removing trees, right, guys? That's what I thought. Chuck? Never mind. The first step in the road reconstruction process is reclaiming the street's existing asphalt. The surface material is ground and mixed with the current gravel base to create a new foundation for the asphalt surface. After the asphalt is removed, residents should still have access to their homes and driveways. But please keep in mind that the roadway will be a bit dusty and bumpy at this point in the project. Next, temporary water lines will be connected to homes throughout the project area, causing periodic water main shutdowns. The lines will look like a garden hose and will be tested frequently so that it is safe to drink. During a total street reconstruction, existing sewer and water mains will be repaired, removed, and replaced. Crews will replace pipes connecting each property to the sanitary sewer and water main in the street. Once water mains are replaced, storm sewer installation begins in areas needing drainage improvements. The city will also dig out and replace any old manholes and catch basins during this phase of construction. After utility work is done, new concrete curb and gutter is installed. Any damaged or removed driveway aprons are also replaced at this time. This may limit access to driveways for up to a week, but residents will still be able to park near their homes. Once these stages of construction are complete, the first layer of asphalt is placed, and the road begins to take shape. Crews will do their best to keep the roads open during the paving process. The boulevard restoration process begins after the initial paving. Crews will install organically rich topsoil and sod along the curb line. Landscaping repairs are also done at this time. The last stage of construction is the installation of the final layer of asphalt. However, the final layer is most often paved in the spring in anticipation of road settlement. While living in the project area can be frustrating at times, I hope this summary gives you a better understanding of the process. Be sure to stay informed and sign up for weekly email updates from your city. Making sense now, busybody? Excellent. Now you're coming up aces. That's right, Chuck. Unforeseen surprises can and will cause delays at the construction site. The biggest culprit is severe weather. Clear skies can turn dark quickly, bringing work to a grinding halt. Additional time can be lost waiting for the street materials to dry or work having to be redone. Other project delays can be caused by equipment breakdowns or soil and unexpected archaeological finds. Wait, is that the Ark of the Covenant? Well, busybody, I hope you have a better understanding of the street reconstruction process. Great! Oh, that's a very nice gift basket. For me? Perhaps the crew would like it. Why don't you hold on to it for right now, Chuck? The guys will pick it up later. Well, my work is done here. See you later, Chuck, and good day to everyone in Anytown, USA.
All right. All right. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Noel and Ava and Ron and Randy and everybody at the city. And thank you to everybody from the neighborhoods that joined us here. And again, if you have neighbors that couldn't make this presentation and this time, we will have this video probably truncated for front and end, but just kind of for the specific information, frequently asked questions. We'll have that on the city's website, on the project webpage. And we'll see you all out there soon. Thank you very much for your patience and your time. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.